Welcome to the course C210 Case and Contract Management Level 1. Today, we will be reviewing together the case management and the customer contract feature. In order to review those features, let's use the Acumatica Perpetual Software License business process as our example. As an Acumatica partner, you're familiar with our contracts. Among many others, we sell the Financial Suite and the Distribution Suite, both having maintenance fee occurring yearly. For the purpose of this training, please take note that I have changed the price of our maintenance and licenses. Now, let's add another item to our business scenario. Let's pretend I will also charge a minimum of 10 hours of support per month to our partners. The term of the contract for these support hours is use it or lose it. Okay, now that we know the business process, let's review a contract example in Acumatica. We will see how we can meet the business requirements using the contract feature. First, in order to have any contract-related screens available in Acumatica, verify that the contract management feature is activated under the Common Settings. Under Configuration, Common Settings, Licensing, Enable/Disable features. We can confirm here that my contract management feature is activated. Now, under the Accounts Receivable, Work Area, Manage Customer Contracts. This is the main contract screen where you can visualize all your customer contracts. I will select the customer contract I pre-configured for you so you can see the system process flow. On the left side of the summary section, I have my contract ID, my contract template, and my contract status. It is mandatory to use a contract template each time you create a new contract. We will learn the configuration of those templates in the Level 2 course. On the right side, I have my customer location, my contract description, and my contract open balance. Under my Summary tab, I have my contract settings, which includes my contract setup date, activation date, and expiration date, my contract termination date, my grace period and number of days. Per this contract, my customer have a 30 days grace period, which means that I will still be able to log some cases or activities against that contract 30 days after the expiration date. The Renew Automatically checkbox allows the contract to automatically be renewed prior to the contract expiration date, and I have the currency of the contract. The Billing Schedule section shows the Billing Schedule Starts On field, which is the activation date of the recurring charges. As you know, my contract setup date and activation date can be different. Therefore, I need to specify when the recurring charges will start occurring. The billing period in our scenario is monthly. Other billing periods are available. We will see them when we will review the configuration of the contract templates. You also have the last billing date and the next billing date. The billing information. You will specify in the Bill To field which customer account you want to invoice. You can bill the contract invoices to your customer account, which is the one assigned above. Maybe you want to bill your contract invoices to your customer parent account, or you want to bill a specific account that you will assign manually in the field below. As you know, Acumatica does not invoice directly our customers. We will invoice our Acumatica partners, which is the parent account assigned to each of our customers. In the contract management section, you can assign a contract owner and a salesperson. The owner field and the salesperson fields are only informational fields. On the Details tab, you have the items assigned to this contract in the bottom grid section. Each item is configured individually and assigned to a contract template. When you originally create your contract from your contract template and your contract template allows override, you could add or remove items to your contract. You could also change the quantity of each item. You will be able to visualize the price of each item, but you won't be able to modify the price even if your contract template allows overrides. The only way to change the item price when using this contract template is to use a promo code. The promo code functionality will be reviewed in the Contract Management Level 2 course. At this point in time, we will ignore the promo code functionality. Let's learn the basic first and then move on to the more advanced features. Above the contract items grid, you can visualize the effective date from, the total current setup fee for this contract, the total recurring charges of this contract, and the renewal fee. On the Recurring tab, you will see all the recurring contract items. It will allow you to see the recurring items total amount, the extra usage total amount, and the total due amount. You will also be able to see the billing type for your recurring charges, the quantity included in your contract, the extra usage price, the quantity used so far during this billing period, and the used total. The used total is the total quantity used since the inception of your contract. In my example, you can see that 10 hours a month are included. I sell any extra support hours at $110 per hour. They have used 12 hours so far in this billing period and 132 hours since the beginning of this contract. My extra usage price is actually configurable as desired. The History tab displays all the actions that occurred for this contract. The AR History tab displays all the invoices created against this contract, allowing drilling down to the invoice document by clicking on the reference number hyperlink or selecting the desired row and clicking the View Invoice button. The Attribute tab displays any attributes you have created and assigned to the contract template. In my example, I'm keeping track of my customer's industry as shown here. We're not reviewing how to create attributes in this course since you already have seen that feature in our course C100 Acumatica CRM, but we will assign some attributes to our contract templates. Well, now that we have reviewed our contract, let's open a case and add some support hours to this contract. There is multiple navigation paths you can use to open a case. You can navigate to your customer management module under the business account screen. You select your business account. You have the Cases tab. This tab displays all the cases ever opened for this customer. I can filter only the not closed cases using the parametric filtering. I can click the plus button to add a new case, or I can select the Action button drop-down menu and select Add Case. I can also use the menu path Enter Cases to add a new case. Let's overview together the Cases screen. In the Summary section, you will have the case ID defined by your case numbering sequence, the date and time the case was reported, the date and time the last activity occurred, the slot dates and time, which is the service level agreement. Based on the contract slot terms and the case severity, the system will assign the date and time by which the case needs to be resolved. Lastly, you have the closing date and time. Then you have the class ID. You can decide to separate your cases in different categories by assigning them a different class ID. In our example, we have 3 class IDs for software issues, network issues, and hardware issues. The class IDs are configurable and can affect the mandatory fields on your case. It could also affect the billing settings, the attributes, and the slot terms. We will review the class ID configuration in the Level 2 course. You also assign a business account to your case. Then the contact, which is someone from your business account organization. the owner of the case, which is someone in your organization to whom the case is assigned, and the subject of the case. On the right, you have the status and the reason fields. The reason indicates why the case has changed status. Although we won't see that feature in this course, keep in mind that those statuses and reasons can be configured using the Acumatica automation steps. Then you have the severity and the priority of the case. The severity will determine your slot terms. Now, let's look at the different tabs. You have the details area where you can write a summary of the case. You have the additional info tab where you have the business account location and contract ID. Under the billing section, your cases can default to billable if the box is checked or not billable if the box is unchecked. The default value is controlled by your case class. The billable time and overtime is automatically calculated by the aggregation of all the time activities on this case. Selecting the manual override checkbox and changing the values in the respective fields can override those values. The service details section contains the work group. Your cases can automatically be assigned to a work group or an owner using the assignment map feature available in the employee management module. The assignment map feature will be reviewed in the contract management level 2 course. If you decide not to use the assignment map feature, you can leave this field blank or you can assign this case to a work group manually. The estimation field can be filled with the estimated time required for the case to be resolved. The promised field is populated with the date and time calculated from your estimation field. For example, if I estimate this case will be resolved in 24 hours, the promised date is 24 hours from the moment you save your estimation. The remaining initial response, time spent, overtime spent, and resolution time are all statistics automatically calculated by the system based on the activities of the case. The Attributes tab displays all the attributes you assign to the case class IDs. The Activities tab is probably the most important tab. Every line item shows a different activity that occurred for this case. Each activity can have a different type. The activity types are note, work item, appointment, phone call, chat, or message. You can also add an email activity, an event, or a task. Each activity, regardless of the type, can track time and be billable or non-billable. Any activity that is tagged as billable will count as usage to the assigned contract. In order to have the email activities working, you need to have your email system configured. We currently will not review those configurations in this course. We will review the specific functionality in the Case and Contract Management Level 2 course. The Related Case tab allows you to create relations between different cases. You can also specify the relation type. The Relations tab is used to create a relation between the case and a customer or an employee. If Add to CC checkbox is checked, the contact person will receive carbon copy of any email sent. The Action drop-down menu allows you to manually run the assignment map. If the case is completed, you can also use the Action drop-down menu to release this case. The Inquiries drop-down menu allows you to see the invoice where this case has been billed. Since this case has not been billed yet, this function is grayed out. The Take Case button assigns the case to yourself or makes you the owner of the case. For the purpose of our example, I will add a final activity to this case. When I enter my activity, I insert a summary line for this activity. The activity type, which you can change if needed. The date and time this activity occurred. The workgroup field allows you to manually assign a workgroup to the activity. the owner of this activity. You can change the owner if needed, but most likely the owner will be yourself. The related activity field is automatically populated by your case information. This is an activity related to a specific case. The task, which is a to-do task. One activity can be related to a to-do task. The project and the project task fields can be populated if this relates to a company project. In this course, we will not review any project management feature, therefore I will insert my non-project code in this field. These two fields are only visible if the project management module is enabled in your instance. The internal checkbox is related to our self-service portal. If your customer implements the self-service portal and give access to the cases information to their customer, all activities will appear on the self-service portal unless this checkbox is checked. If the internal checkbox is checked, it means that this activity will not be visible to the customer on the self-service portal. The track time checkbox indicates that you would like to track the amount of time spent on this activity. You can only track time on CRM activities if your common settings, time reporting on activity, is enabled. If this setting is not enabled, the track time checkbox is not even available on the form. If I uncheck the checkbox, the related fields are no longer displayed. Since I would like to track time, I will leave the checkbox checked. I also have the status of my activity. The name of the approver would be displayed here if this activity was related to a project where an approval is necessary. The earning type field allows users to tag their time with the correct earning type. Anything related to earning types and overtime calculation is overviewed in the Employee Management Level 1 course. For now, I will use a regular hours as my earning type. In the time field, I will insert the amount of time spent on my activity. I will enter 1 hour and 12 minutes. I will select the billable checkbox to indicate that my time spent on this activity is billable to the customer. The release checkbox indicates that my activity has been released. My billable time field can be changed manually if I want to bill only 45 minutes out of the 1 hour and 12 minutes spent on that activity. I will click on the Complete button to save and change the status of my activity to complete. You can now see your activity in the grid of your case. Then I will follow up by the Release Case Activity window to release my activities. My total amount of billable time will now show as my usage on my contract. My contract usage is located under Accounts Receivable, Work Area, Enter, Contract Usage. You can see the unbilled usage and the billed usage for each contract. Although we have not seen the contract configuration yet, you can see that my billable time has been modified to meet certain rounding rules that I have configured in the system. On this contract, I'm rounding my billable time by 10 minutes increment, therefore my billable time is 50 minutes, which is 0.83 of an hour. If my configuration allows it, I can override my billable quantity directly in the usage screen. I can also add some usage to my contract by simply adding a line in the grid. From the Transaction History tab, you can analyze the contract billed usage. Notice that the column AR reference number indicates the invoice number on which the usage has been billed. Now, if I want to run the billing for all my contracts at once, I can navigate to the Processes tab and select Run Contract Billing. But I can also navigate to my customer contract and under my Action drop-down menu select Run Contract Billing. Upon completion of the billing process, you can visualize the new AR document that was created. You can click on the reference number hyperlink to open the Invoices and Memo screen in order to see the details of my invoice. If I'm satisfied with my invoice, I can release it immediately. If I'm not satisfied, I can close this window and select Undo Last Action from my Action drop-down menu. This action will roll back my last invoice. Then I can correct the usage on my contract and rerun the billing for that contract. The Undo Last Action button will undo the last action executed on the contract, such as the contract billing, the contract renewal, contract upgrades, but only if the document was not released. As you can imagine, there is multiple ways to configure the contract feature. We will review some of those configurations in the Level 2 course. Please proceed to hands-on exercises related to this section.